Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Life Beyond Labels podcast. I'm your host, Kelsey O'Connor. I am so excited because we have a very special guest with us today, Marques Ogden. Before I tell you all about Marques Ogden's incredible accomplishments and his journey, I actually tasked him with introducing himself beyond his labels in an effort to be a self-aware podcast. So welcome, Marques, to the show. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Kelsey. I'm Marques Ogden. I am the CEO of Ogden Ventures, and I am a lover of true 1980s action movies that people wouldn't think about. People like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, and by chance, I've actually seen both their documentaries in the last probably 4 to 6 weeks. So that's me. I am a CEO of Ogden Ventures. I'm a lover, true lover of not all, most 1980 action movies.
I love that. That's awesome. Do you have a favorite?
I'm gonna have to go with, I want to say it's action, but I would probably have to go with Predator, the original Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers. That was probably one of the first. And then I would also say the first action movie that I ever saw, rated R, so funny, is Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme because it was like mid 1980s. My brother, I'm sorry, it was like late 1980s. My brother who's 7 years older than me, also is a former NFL athlete. He's in the Hall of Fame, NFL Hall of Fame, played for the Ravens. He was in, I guess, like high school at the time, and Cyborg had just come out. And I remember my dad dropped him off at the movie theater, and I just begged and begged and begged. I was only like 8, begged to go to the movies with Jonathan. And my dad caved and he walked into the theater, told Jonathan that he was going to have me go with him and watch the movie because I was way underage. My dad told him, it's okay, I'm his dad, bought me the ticket. And Jonathan complained and moaned the whole time because he didn't want his baby brother at the movie theaters with him and all of his homeboys or his football teammates. But that's the first movie I ever saw at a theater way underage was Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh my gosh, that is such an awesome story. That's so funny. Yeah, I have a brother who's 7 years older than me too, and I love that story. That is so funny that you tagged along with him, and that probably made it part of the experience too. It was kind of
Oh,
being
oh,
along with him.
oh,
That's
I
awesome.
I loved it, but he hated it. But that's okay.
That's so funny. Awesome. Well, you kind of gave us a little bit of a nugget of who your brother is and who you are. So let me go ahead and introduce just a little bit of your story before we get into it. So Marques Ogden is a former NFL player, and now he's an inspirational keynote speaker, founder and CEO of Ogden Ventures, and a 3-time best-selling author. After retiring from football, he founded a construction company that grew quickly, but eventually that company went bankrupt, losing nearly $2 million in 90 days. During your darkest times, Marques worked as a custodian and built his life through hard work and determination. Today, Marques shares his incredible journey of overcoming adversity and achieving success, landing speaking engagements with over 40 Fortune 500 companies, hosting his own podcast, Get Authentic with Marques Ogden, and continuing to inspire and impact lives. And if I might throw my own interjection in there and say beyond labels, from listening to some of your interviews and prepping for this, I would just say that already I can kind of feel your energy of hard work and passion for helping people. So I am really excited to hear more about your story and talk about who you are kind of beyond these incredible things that you've accomplished and some of the adversity you've had to fight through as well.
Well, thank you, Kelsey. I look forward to chatting with you about anything and everything you want to be glad to ask me.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I wanted to start. So you talk a lot on your podcast about external motivators and how for the majority of the beginning of your life, you were really inspired by money, fame, notoriety. And I think that can be so easy for a lot of people to drift into. And I would just love to know when you feel like maybe that started for you growing up in a high performance environment in football. Did that start at a young age chasing those external motivators?
Yeah, because as an athlete, if you're fortunate enough to make it to the top in your profession, you make a lot of money. You can buy what you want to buy. Women are going to always want to be around you and throw themselves at you and want to be in your presence. And you are just overloaded. You are just saturated with so many things that you can have at your fingertips. It's unreal. So for me, really getting into chasing those is when my brother got drafted into the National Football League by the Baltimore Ravens in 1996. And a lot of people thought he was going to go to the Cardinals or the Giants. So the Cardinals had to pick before they took Simeon Rice out of Illinois. And then the Giants had to pick after. But Jonathan was gone. So they took Cedric Jones out of Oklahoma. But having Jonathan go to the Ravens, which is only about maybe an hour or so from DC driving, I got to see so many things that a young athlete is important to see, but at the same time, it made me realize, well, I want that. I want this. I want that. I mean, again, and my brother did exactly what he was supposed to do. He worked hard, got what he wanted, but he was also very smart. He got a nice Range Rover, but he rented an apartment for a while. As the number 4 pick overall, he actually rented an apartment for the first season, which was
Wow.
very, very genius. So I saw that, but then I also saw the car. Then I also saw the lifestyle of, like, again, one thing he did, he would go out and people would throw themselves. Guys wanted to go get his autograph or talk to him, and women wanted to give him their number, all these things. And as a young individual, again, I was what, at the time, 15, that really, it made me like, wow, I want this too. So when I got to NFL, I was smart. It's actually I did the same. I did his same exact pattern. I bought a really nice car, bought an Escalade for myself, and then my rookie year, I rented an apartment in Jacksonville. And then I made the team, did play, things were going well. The next year, I bought a home, and I actually ended up selling the house, making good money on it. But if I look back, a lot of things that my brother did, I kind of just went and mimicked or kind of, did the same things that he did. And it was a lot. And again, it's not a bad thing, but it's just reality. It's just like I got hooked on those things. And then when I was playing in the NFL, I saw some guys make some mistakes, so I got a little bit more wise. But then when I got into construction after my NFL career, I was making a lot of money. And unfortunately for me, I lost my dad at that time. So my dad passed away in 2006.
I'm
I formed
sorry.
Caden in 2008, and I was making a ton of money. Like, we got up to a $20 million a year company. I was clearing 7 figures in salary. I bought myself a nice home, Hummers, cars. I mean, just whatever I wanted to buy, right? I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have anyone to guide me on how to stay humble and how to stay, very appreciative, and how to treat people that worked with you, that you were leading. And my brother was busy finishing up his career at the same time. He had trouble with our dad's death as well. So it's just very interesting for me, but it started for me with external motivating factors in high school as I saw what my brother was doing, but not just him, right? Because he was a really good example. There were other players that I saw with the Ravens that weren't doing it so good. And they had the expensive cars, they had the big houses, they had the living beyond their means. So I saw that constantly. And then I went to Howard University, right? And I saw it even more because as I got older and I started playing football at a higher level, I said, well, maybe this could be me also. It just got to be a pattern. So it's just, I mean, it's like anything else, right? When you're around it and you see it all the time, it can become your reality. So for me, it started as a junior in high school when my brother was drafted number 4 overall by the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, well, of course. Well, first of all, I'm so sorry about your dad's passing, and I definitely want to talk all about just that time period for you and your construction and everything like that. So, but let's walk back just a little bit. I would love for you to kind of walk our listeners through your story. It's a really powerful story, and so kind of starting maybe when you went to Howard, and
Mhm.
also I appreciate you sharing that, just because a lot of I think athletes have siblings sometimes that have played a sport, and that could really kind of increase our drive to want to be successful. And I want to ask you about comparison and how that plays into external motivating factors. But if you could just walk our listeners through your story, whatever you're willing to share, I would
Yeah, of course.
appreciate that.
So I went to Howard University, the same school that my dad or our dad went to. So he was a Bison. So he went there from 1969 to 1972. And then I went there from 1998 until 2003. Phenomenal experience. Howard was my only division, was my only offer, period. 1A, 1AA, 2, 3. The only offer I got to play football after high school was Howard University. Was so thrilled because Howard was only about a 10-minute drive from my house growing up in Washington, D.C. Went to Howard, loved it. I'm like, oh, if I become a 2-year starter, oh, that'd be great. You know, I'll go work on Wall Street. I wasn't work on Wall Street. I'm gonna be a finance major, but became a 4-year starter. Worked at different opportunities. I worked at Merrill Lynch in downtown DC as an intern in the summers. All that was going well, but the NFL, right after my junior year, I remember, sorry, right before my junior season, I remember seeing a magazine like, top rated prospects, and they had me in the top 300 prospects for all of college football going into my junior year. And I told my brother, I said, Jonathan, can I come out early? He's like, dude, if you think about coming out early, you're an idiot. And that's never going to happen. We're going to let you do that. So, but that was my first taste. I had a good junior year. And going into my senior year, worked really hard, got into a strength program. Keith Comerford was our strength coach, and he was amazing. He helped me so much. And then from there, just played my butt off every day, practiced hard, played hard, all these things. And I was then very fortunate to get drafted to the National Football League by the Jacksonville Jaguars. So got drafted to the NFL by Jack Del Rio, who was our rookie head coach. And he actually was a rookie head coach himself for the Jaguars. But I had known Jack for a while. I was with the Ravens as a linebacker coach. He was a D coordinator with the Panthers. Then he became the Jaguars head coach. And I'll tell your listeners exactly what Jack told us as 22 as rookies in life, be your own CEO. And that's what really drove me to really not only do well in football, but after is being my own CEO. Like Jack said, yes, you work for the Jaguars, the NFL, but your own brand is what you sign at the bottom or the back of the check. We don't make you who you are as a person. You do. So if you want to come to work early and stay late, that's your brand. You want to come to work just on time and leave on time, that's your brand. Understand that. So I had a lot of great coaches in the NFL. Was great players. My brother, Ray Lewis, Fred Taylor, Willis McGahee. I mean, I could go down the list of all these. Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs. I played Kevin. I mean, I played with so many Hall of Famers in my career that was amazing. And all those guys had the same thing in common, an unshakable mindset to forge forward with purpose and passion. They were all like that. So I got out of the NFL after a 6-year career, 5.5, 6-year career. Unfortunately, I wasn't prepared. I struggled for about 6 months with alcohol addiction, gambling, nightlife, all these horrific things. Finally got myself together and I formed Caden Premier Enterprises, which became the largest African American owned subcontracting company in the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland. But unfortunately, as the company grew, I didn't have my dad to keep me in check. My partner wasn't really wanting to keep me in check. I didn't have good people around me to keep me in check. I started becoming very arrogant, focusing on, again, more money, more cars, more nightlife, more gambling, more out there, more me, more me. And that became my everyday reality. And then my organization became very toxic, became very negative, became very just all about self. And then I ended up losing my company and everything I owned in 2013. And I had to really, really get myself going and restarting myself to where I am now. And so after losing everything, I moved to Raleigh with my fiance, who became my wife, who's now my ex-wife. And I literally have $400 to my name when I got here. Home foreclosed on, Both cars repossessed. Nothing, absolutely nothing I had when I got here. Didn't know anybody except for my fiance and her family, no friends in this area, no family in this area, nothing. Was working at Merrill Lynch for a short time, got fired, all my fault, went into construction, got fired from that job 5 days later. So I tell people all the time, I've been fired twice in the same week, which is absolutely, that's so almost impossible to even believe. So fired from 2 jobs in the same week. And then I was doing a little bit of like business, like football coaching and trying to help people and training. Ran a little small business, wasn't enough. So I had to get another job. And I became a custodian working in downtown Raleigh for $8.25 an hour. So the mental strain from being an NFL athlete to an 8-figure business owner to 8.25 per hour, working from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. was absolutely detrimental to my mindset, to my psyche, to who I was as a person. But it needed to happen because without that job, I would have never hit rock bottom. One of my favorite quotes is rock bottom is the moment that I rebuilt my life. J.K. Rowling, who of course wrote Harry Potter, and she's the only billionaire author in the world, and rightfully so. She'd worked her butt off to do what a lot of people thought couldn't happen. And that's the whole thing, right? Mindset is conditioning your mind to believe what your heart knows is achievable. And a lot of people don't understand that. And also, you have to become the person that can thrive no matter what life throws your way. Anytime you have to overcome, you got to restart the engine. You got to get ramped up. You got to get excited. You got to get riled up. And the problem with that is if you're tired or deflated or feeling down, a lot of times you can't restart. And then what happens? You don't get through a hard time. So I tell people, become that person that can thrive no matter what. Like me, I don't win every job I get. I don't talk to every person that's gonna become a client. You know, you don't get things, you lose jobs, this, that, and the other, up, down, all around. But I've become the person that's used to that. And that's what I teach people around mindset. Right? I do things on leadership, culture, all that. But mindset, you gotta program yourself to be that individual that can become that person that can handle anything. And so that's what I do. And so, but again, it took that rock bottom moment, my spoiled, disgusting milk moment. Imagine somebody's rotten meat, maggot infested trash, stinky garbage getting all over your body, skin, and clothes as a result of you not paying attention on your job, as a result of you feeling tired and defeated at the end of your shift. And that's what happened to me. But without that moment and me having to clean myself off, sit down on the curb, cry for 10 minutes, and get my life together, I would have never found the inner fortitude to say, I have to change where I'm at. I've got to do more. I've got to be more. I've got to get my life back. And that's when I said, okay, well, what can I do? Started speaking. But of course, when you start something new, great quote by Rutherford B. Hayes, the 19th president of the United States, every expert was once a beginner. So for me, I had to start over at the bottom and I had to work my way up. Took me 2.5 years to get my first paid speaking job. Finally got it. Then I went through coaching, got developed, learned how to actually bring value to people and not just go out there and say what I want to say. And over time, we've now worked for over 65 Fortune 500 companies. People like Intel, Home Depot, Morse Coulson, Colson Moores, to Equitable, Bank of America, you name it, New York Life, MetLife, Liberty Mutual Insurance, Mutual of Omaha. I could go down the list. Educational institutions, non-for-profits, sports teams, all this kind of stuff, and all going forward, right? That's going to be huge in that regard. So The whole process is going to be this of the following: getting people to understand that they have to become the individual that's going to move through life. So without that rock bottom moment, I would not be where I'm at. So again, speaking took some time, but now that's what we do. Very fortunate. We have a podcast that people love, and the podcast is called Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. It's ranked in the top 0.5% most popular podcast worldwide. And again, it's all about our ability to help people to really understand that inside of them, their authentic, true self is enough to get through anything. But you gotta be willing to be the real you. If you can't be the, like I said, I tell you, like, who am I? I mean, honestly, I don't really watch a lot of like new TV shows. I don't. I when I was married, I would watch like reality shows, Desperate Housewives, or not Desperate Housewives, Real Housewives of, whatever, or Love is Blind, and I watch it, right? So, but honestly, who am I? I prefer watching old 1970s, 1980s, 1990s action movies that I've seen a bunch of times. I already know what it is, but that's me. Right. I mean, that's who I am. So like, I don't try to be like, oh, have you watched Bridgerton or have you kept up with The Walking Dead? Like, no, not really. Have you watched this? Like, so I'll watch an occasional documentary, which is good. Like I've watched Arnold Schwarzenegger's, I've watched Sylvester Stallone's, I watched one
Mhm.
on Ronald Reagan. I watched one on Caligulus. I watched one on, on Julius Caesar. So I love documentaries, but at the end of the day, I don't want to be like everybody else, trying to keep up with this show or this season or that season. Like, that's not
Yeah.
really me. So just be who you are, because who you are is more than enough.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I mean, it's incredible that you had this high in the NFL and then you hit almost a rock bottom as well, struggling with substance, which can be so difficult coming from the NFL and then having to transition this identity you've had for so long and then building yourself back up, building this incredible company and then going back. So these highs and lows, it wasn't even just one, it was multiple at the same time, which I think a lot of people can relate to. And I think what I found so incredible is that you talked about this moment, um, gosh, where you were working as a custodial staff member and you just started crying. And I think it's really powerful to acknowledge you've hit rock bottom in order to move through it. And it sounds like once you finally were able to see that and allow yourself to accept some of those failures, challenges, whatever, and get authentic with that, that's when you were really able to make that change because you were a former NFL player, you were a multi-million-dollar business owner, but becoming this person that you wanted to be, to becoming this person that you wanted to be inside really was the catalyst for you, it sounds like, in doing what you're doing now and really impacting lives.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Kelsey, because without the custodial job, I would have never been in a position to go through the rock bottom moment. And the rock bottom moment made me do three things in my life: focus, lock in, and attack. And I tell people, in order to train your mind to have a super strong mindset that can become that individual that can thrive no matter what, you have to focus on what you want. Once you know what you want, you need to lock in on the target, and then you have to actually take the action and step forward towards it. It won't come to you. If somebody's going to hand you something or hand me something, I don't want it. Because if you're handing it to me, it means I didn't earn it. If I didn't earn it, I don't want to take credit for it. So I'm all about individuals actually doing the work to get where they want in life and not just sitting around waiting for people just to say, oh, here I am, please come and help me up here. And that's what I had to understand, right, Kelsey? Nobody was coming to save me. Nobody. There was no knight on a white horse that was going to come to that trash can. It's actually funny, right, Kelsey? I still probably once every couple of months when I go to downtown Raleigh, which is not super big, I mean, it's nice, especially like the sky rises, like, high rise places and the skyline and all that. It's not that big. So when I go to downtown Raleigh, I always stop by the trash dump. Always. It's just a habit. Because without that trash dump, without that curb, without that maggot infested, disgusting trash moment, where I'm at now in my home in Fuquay, that I have been blessed with, and I live in Serenity, that's our development name, and I live on Serendipity Drive. And that's
Wow.
huge. And God has a sense of humor, and I love it.
Yes.
So I go there to remind me of what I had to do. And then it's like the drive from their home kind of reminds me of the journey. Sometimes I gotta turn left, I gotta turn right. Sometimes I go straight ahead, sometimes I have to back up. Sometimes I can go really fast, sometimes I get stuck in traffic. That's the journey I had to go to get from that trash dump to where I'm at in Fuquay. Just like starting my speaking career back then, where I'm at now. People know us. We have more success, more fulfillment. We get paid for our craft. Back then, nobody knew us. Everything was free or told no or not going to happen. You name it. So those are the things that I'm trying to tell people, right? Is that without that moment, without that dump, without that really disgusting part of my life, where I'm at now wouldn't be. So my point is, if you're listening to this awesome podcast, you're gonna have to sometimes go through the T to get to the other side. And if you don't want to go through the T, then do not expect the other side just to show up magically. Because we all have to go through hard times to get to the other side.
Well, that is so true. And I mean, so you actively put yourself back in that moment pretty often to look
Mhm.
at the progress that you've made
Yep.
and that you're continuing to do now.
Yep, because you never want to forget where you came from. Because that's how I lost everything with Caden. I coach a lot of people that want to grow a podcast like yours and want to start monetizing. We 95% of podcasters do not monetize. 95%. 5% do. And of the 5%, only less than half a percent make over six figures. We're in that top half percent. And I coach people all the time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I coach people like, how do you monetize the podcast? Finding brands, finding organizations, finding people that you align with. That's what it's all about. When you find that, everything else will take care of itself.
I love that. Yeah, it takes care of itself when you start with just embracing your authenticity and knowing your worth. It sounds like knowing the value that you're giving to other people through your podcast, through your speaking. So that moment for you, was that kind of the moment that you shifted from chasing these external motivators to getting authentic and kind of putting your ego aside? Or was it a gradual process over time of taking action and having to really do intention checks with yourself? Because I even find I sometimes struggle, and I talk about living beyond labels, but I also have to really ground myself daily to remember that what I'm speaking is for the listener, not for me. I always like praying to say what someone else needs to hear, not what I need to say. But I feel like that really takes a lot of intentional daily practice for me to get myself in the right mind space. So what was that process for you of changing that shift from your own ego to your authentic self wanting to impact people, and are you still practicing that process?
So when I had the rock bottom moment, at that moment, I realized that my ego needed to go. So that was the light bulb moment for me there. But every day I'm always gradually trying to get better with how I serve people, how I bring value to people, because that's why I got no paid jobs for so long, because nobody found any value in my work, because I was just talking about what I wanted to talk about and not bring any type of action steps. Great inspirational speakers, podcast hosts, trainers, whomever, they can share their story, but at the same time, how are you educating the audience to see something different or a different perspective that they didn't see before? That's what it comes down to. When you get to that point in your life, then that's when the magic starts to happen on a larger scale. So every day I'm always trying to add more value through what I do. But once I had that rock bottom moment and I realized that I was the culprit in my failures and while I was sitting at that part or at that spot in my life, that the ego was gone. And then it went into, okay, well, how can you do this? And then I had to start at the bottom as a speaker. Then I became a coach. Then I became an author. Then I became a consultant. Then I became a podcaster. But I had to start at the bottom. Again, as Brother Behave says, every expert was once a beginner.
I love that. Yeah. Well, and that kind of, is a testament too to when you're a beginner, you still probably embody a lot of those characteristics that you built up through other parts of your life. So you weren't a renowned speaker yet, but you had this work ethic after being in the NFL. You had this just drive and tenacity to succeed. And so being able to apply those characteristics to different parts of your life to get yourself out of a rock bottom situation, that all existed before you were a Fortune 500 monetary podcaster. So if that all, let's hypothetically say that all was pushed to the side, that all was on the shelf, do you feel grounded in your authentic self now in just who you are as a person?
Oh, absolutely. There's absolutely because money, fame, all that doesn't mean anything to me, right? What means something to me is that people enjoy working with us. People find value in what we bring to the table, and that we're able to help people and give them really great product and or service for a price point where they know they are getting what they paid larger. They're getting the value that they are paying me. Sorry, the money that they're paying me, the value that I give to them far exceeds that. So that's what I hang my shingle on. That's what I hang my hat on. And yeah, I'm truly authentic in who I am. I'm grounded. I am a single dad that is working his butt off, trying to grow his brand, trying to get back out and date in the real world, which is also another part of this. Like, wow, that's another part. Like, geez, but that's all. That's me. And so, I mean, that's who I am. And I'm also gonna always be there to help people, and people need me for. And my clients know this all the time. If they need me beyond our coaching call times, if they need to text me, call me, whatever, my clients know. Speaking clients, coaching clients, consulting clients, podcast clients, they can text me, call me anytime, and I'll get to them either right away, or if I'm busy, I'll get right back to them when I'm free. But that's the type of reputation I want to have. Is Marcus helps people. Everything else is just a bonus.
I love that. I was going to ask you next just kind of how you want to be remembered as a person and what you want your legacy to be. And it sounds like your values are very relationship centered, very other centered. And I think that's a huge jump to admit to from going someone that was very individual centered and success centered, which isn't a bad thing to be, but having that balance. So you're still successful and you're still striving for these, incredible goals, which is very important, but having that foundation of relationships and a service mindset and being grounded in who you are, kind of allowing you to propel.
Oh, of
I
course. Of course. I mean, you
slingshot.
got to make money to survive and all these different things, but money is not the only object. If that's what you think you're going to try to be about, you're going to lose, right? Like, for example, we're getting a lot of work now in the insurance space, but it started out by a guy, a great friend of mine named Nick Hunt, who is a mogul in the insurance space. Bring us into the insurance space, into his atmosphere, into his powerhouse area, connecting us with people, introducing us to people. And we've got a lot of great work coming up. We got a job in October at Mandalay Bay. About 10,000 people are going to the ITC Tech Connect conference at Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. We are the opening keynote speaker for the entire conference. We gave them their
Wow.
PowerPoint. They're all excited. But now I've met more people in that space, probably about 10 or 12 guys. Ryan, Ryan Hanley's a friend now, Chris Paradiso, Mike Stromso, Marcus Harris, to Josh Gurley, to, Darren Vermoos, to, Heath Sharon, to David Carruthers, like all these guys I've met through Nick. And now we have a job, but again, it'll turn into more work down the line. I have all these guys are friends of mine. We connect, we text, help each other, all this. I don't ask them, hey man, you guys I can talk to for business or can you give me some work? Like, no, like this is what it's all about, right? It's all about just being grounded in who you are and just doing the value piece first. Give people value long before you ask them for dollars. When you do that, everything else will take care of itself.
I love that. That is so true. Were you nervous when you gave your first
Of
speech? I feel like
course,
that's a
yes,
huge
absolutely. Of
jump.
course, I was. Of course, it was for the Raleigh Boys and Girls Club. As a matter of fact, my first ever speech was literally about a 1 mile walk from the trash can. So I had the trash can
Wow.
situation happen in September, and then I said I want to start speaking in September. Of course, it was a non-paid job. It was at the Raleigh Boys and Girls Club, downtown Raleigh, on the same street on Glenwood, literally about a mile or so from where I was for my trash can rock bottom moment. So I did that job in October of 2013. And yes, absolutely, I was nervous. I was petrified. And I have a picture of that job. I can really tell how scared I was, but I also was just starting, right? And I was only about telling stories. I didn't know how to bring value or how to challenge people, or how to move them to the next level. So today, after all the years of like learning and being not really booed off the stage, but people telling me I didn't do a good job and having to rebrand myself, rebound, all these things. Now I teach people how to actually tell their stories with challenges, with action steps to move people forward.
Wow. So even through there, you had to go through some ups and downs. I mean, I've been learning that through the start of my speaking career too. It's not just an uphill climb or uphill straight to the top. But so, yeah, I mean, that beginning of speaking for you, it sounds like you got some tough feedback at first and had to really adjust and work with what you had, but you were still motivated to keep going. And I think it's really incredible that because it came from such an authentic place that you were kind of able to push through that failure and you'd been through some hard things before. So what's one more thing? Why not keep going?
Why not? What's one more no? What's one more hardship? What's one more bad day? And I tell people, you can have a bad day, but don't let a bad day become 2 bad days a week, multiple weeks, a month. Like, get a hold of it. You have a bad day, get a hold of it and then move on. And don't let a bad day become a bad pattern.
I really like that a lot. I think that that's something that I align with as well. I sometimes set a timer on a bad day and I allow myself to feel the bad day for X amount of time. And then it's time for decision making to what are you going to do to move forward. So, kind of letting yourself honor those feelings and then letting yourself get up and pivot and do something good with it.
Love it.
That's so awesome. I do have a question for you. So, I feel like your podcast is all about authenticity, which I just love. And I think that people are really craving authenticity just it and especially in spaces that are inauthentic. So we know that social media is a highlight reel. We've seen that mental health is starting to come into those spaces and a little bit more authenticity. But what would you tell younger people who are comparing themselves to others, which is blocking them from being their authentic selves because they're trying to emulate someone else? What kind of advice would you give for
I'm gonna
comparison?
keep it real short and simple. Be you. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to be what you think somebody else has, homes, cars, flashy this, flashy that, on social media, trying to portray something. You have no idea if that person owns the home or not. Do they own the car or not? Are they in a good place, right? And a lot of times when people put on social media only the good, not the bad and or the ugly. So I tell people all the time, especially young people, don't get caught up in everybody else trying to portray something that you don't even know if it's reality or not. Just be who you are, and you are good enough. And when you remember that and you think like that, everything else that you're going to be doing in life will actually move in that space.
I love that. That's so helpful. And so, what would be your definition of authenticity?
Being who you are in the moment, knowing that the moment of life is going to change. I'm not the same person I was a week ago, yesterday. I'm not the same person that I was when I was married. not the same person I was when I was 42 or 41. I'll be 44 in November. So it's being who you are in the moment, knowing that the moment can and will change in time. That's authenticity to me.
That's so awesome. Just embracing that the one constant thing about life is that it will change.
It's Father Time is undefeated.
That's so true. Um, I love that. And so, how has your understanding of leadership developed throughout your experiences?
To me, leadership is developed by the people that you're leading and serving thinking highly of you. Like with my construction company, at the end, everybody hated me, which I totally understand. Today, in our Ogden Ventures organization, the people that work for us or have worked with us and have been with us have been with us for years. Dawn, who's been with me for almost 7 years, George, 5 years, Albert, 6, Dobbin, 4, Jaslyn, 2, Danny, almost a year. People don't leave us when they work with us because I have learned, and I hope this, it's a really big portion of how to really deal with life as a leader. And that's by allowing your people that you trust, that you bring into working with you, allow them to do what they do best. So leadership is not a title. It's not a privilege. It's a responsibility to serve those that you are leading. And if you lead like that, you will be in a good spot. If you try to be somebody like a tyrant or tyrannical, you will end up losing your people.
That's really good. I think, especially in a lot of leadership spaces, when you say leadership isn't a title and that it's more about your qualities than your qualifications, it's about how you're acting and how you're treating people. And honestly, building a safe space for others to be their authentic selves, for others to be leaders instead of enforcing leadership your way.
There you
Do you
go.
think that leaders play a role in, diminishing people from being their authentic selves? What do you think holds people back
Yeah,
from being
of course. They,
themselves?
they don't want to get judged by the leadership. They don't want people to tell them, oh, don't think that way, think this way. Oh, don't try this, do that. Don't go left, go right. And when people, again, I was that leader with Caden. Nobody wanted to talk to me because I was all about self and what I wanted. And see, that's why people love to hire us for speeches or to coach because I've been both sides. I was that tyrannical, egocentric leader that ran a $20 million company into the ground in less than 3 months. I'm also a guy that has built something, it's built something special because I've been able to learn from my mistakes and I don't have the same ego or attitude or disposition. And I keep my ego in check because at the end of the day, I'm always going to have the good part of my soul be bigger than my ego. And that's also training yourself to be the individual that people can talk to and relate to and want to work with. That's everything as a leader.
I love that. That's a good definition of leadership, and especially, with some things now, it's important to put others first and still be confident, but I love that you said that that part of you going ahead of your ego and being bigger than your ego, that valuable part of your soul, and really feeling aligned with that. And so, just an encouragement for everybody listening to really get authentic with your soul and your intentions. And if your intentions are pure, then you're probably on the right track and you can let that outside noise quiet down a little bit.
Correct.
Well, I love it so much. You've been sharing with us so many good quotes and stories and insight. Is there any other piece of advice or anything else that you would love people to know? Especially, going back and forth with, we talk about labels on this podcast, and you've had a number of them: NFL player, custodian, speaker, kind of a wide range of different things. What would you tell people about living beyond those labels that others see on them and getting real with what's on the inside and their own authentic soul?
Make sure that your internal values match your external actions. When that happens, you are good to go. Don't try to do something internally or think a way, but then don't want to do it on the outside. Don't try to be a good person on the inside, then treat people bad on the outside. When your internal actions and your internal values match your external values and your external actions and what you do in life, then you're living your most fulfilled life. Live to be fulfilled, not just happy. Happiness comes and goes. When you're fulfilled and you know who you are and you're at peace with who you are. That's why I love living in serenity, which means peace, confidence, fulfillment. That's what you should be striving for. Because happiness, sadness, just boom, 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 boom. But serenity or fulfillment or at peace with yourself, when you get to that point in your life, boom, everything else will be just fine.
Wow, thank you so much, Marques. Well, and how symbolic that you live in serenity on the inside and literally in your subdivision. That is so cool. But thank you so much for just sharing your insight with us and your incredible story. We just really appreciate it. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Before we let you go, where else can we find you on your podcast and on your social media for people that want to check out Getting Authentic?
So you can go to our LinkedIn, Marques Ogden, Instagram, Marques Ogden. Our website is www.marquesogden.com. But you can also download our free app, right, on your phone, Android or Apple. Type in Marques Ogden in your app store. Pow, up comes our app. It's free. You can listen to our podcast on there. You can connect with us to our website through there. It's all kinds of great things. So our app, our website, shoot me an email, marcus@marquesogden.com. Connect with us. Look forward to speaking with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Marques. It's been awesome to have
Thanks for
you.
having me on, Kelsey.